26. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid, the most popular homesteading channel on the entire internet that has absolutely nothing to do with homesteading. So, I'm going to give a shout out here to Deborah Quarry, probably mispronounced it at least one time, in Mason, Ohio. You'd ordered a bunch of books last week and some of my homemade Halloween decorations from my wood shop. Got those boxed up and they're going out for you the first part of this week. Sorry for the delay. If you've been following the channel, you know we've had some issues with our son's schooling. We made the choice to homeschool. So I got a little bit behind, but I was packing Deborah's books and a dozen or so others of you who had orders in from last week from our Etsy store. The link is in the description box below, and you can get the books in print or Kindle from Amazon. That link's in there as well. And you really should check out my Halloween stuff because we're getting close. But I wanted to let all of you folks know that. But I was flipping through the pages and saw a couple of interesting stories, and I thought I'd come up and read them for those who watch the channel. And I've got to tell you this story. I think it's funny. There's this guy in the Philippines. He's a singer. And he sings like Christmas music. He's known for Christmas music. His name is Jose Marichan. Got to roll my tongue like my wife. He's a Chinese Filipino gentleman who has the market on Christmas music. Now, here's something interesting about Christmas in the Philippines. Interestingly, the Philippines is the only predominantly Christian nation in Asia. It's because of Spanish occupation for 433 years. They brought the Catholic Church, so they celebrate Christmas. And they love it, and Christmas is so fun over there. It's about family, and it's about being together. It's not about consumerism and materialism. And they actually begin celebrating it in September. They celebrate Christmas every month that ends in Ber. So September, October, November, December. You can go to the malls, and malls are still very much alive over there. It's not like in the U.S. where malls are like ghost towns because of Amazon and whatnot. And I don't waste my time going to malls or stores in general here. I'll often have my groceries delivered because I just don't want to waste the time driving and going into a store and dealing with people and all. So it's just go click, 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 and they bring it to you, you know. It allows me more time to read and write and create social media content and spend time out here with my family on our property, or doing the things I enjoy, coaching football and basketball, but not running errands. But here's my point. You go into the malls in the Philippines those months from September through December, there's Christmas music, there's decorations, the trees are up, and it's really neat. It's enjoyable. So this guy, Jose Marichan, starting in August, he is so hilarious. All over the internet, all over social media, you'll see him like peeking out from behind the corners of buildings, and there'll be a caption that reads, "It's almost September." And I don't know how many of you saw some of those Grimace Shake TikTok things that were popular a couple months ago when McDonald's had the Grimace Shake. Like, people would get the purple shake and they'd say, "Happy birthday, Grimace," and then they'd take a sip, and then they would cut to the next scene and they're like hanging out of a tree in the middle of the night. And some of those were very creative. Well, over in the Philippines, people started doing that kind of a meme / TikTok thing with this guy. Like, he'd be like they were in Jollibee. There was one. Jollibee is like the Filipino version of McDonald's, but of course they don't specialize in burgers. They specialize in fried chicken and rice. You can get some spaghetti. They do have a Jolly Burger, but so these people were eating in Jollibee, and this guy, the singer, shows up and says, "It's almost September," and everybody in the restaurant starts throwing chicken at him, saying, "Wait till..." It was like the day before, August 31st. They're like, "Wait one more day," just pelting him with chicken. Well, that reminds me of myself in regard to October because of Halloween. I mean, that's what I do. I'm like the October storyteller. And now that it is actually September, that guy is so happy to be celebrating Christmas because now you hear his songs everywhere. He does covers of all the traditional Christmas music, plus he's got a lot of originals. He sings his originals in both English and Tagalog. He's a great singer. But it's almost October, so that means it's almost creepy story night for every night, and I'm just here to get warmed up now, okay? So let me read you a few stories from out of here. And yep, I see what may or may not have just sneaked in. It's where the light was. It's where the mysterious light was. It seems as if when it vanished, this mysterious light in the forest, you see that? Keep your eyes on it. Something even more mysterious took its place. Yeah. All right. So, gotta have my old man reading glasses, I'll tell you. There we go. All right. So this is really neat because I was thinking about this. I had my cherished nap here just a bit ago, and I was having coffee out in the backyard. There's a spot I can sit where there's always a breeze, and the temperatures have dropped, and the spot is shaded. And I just love to be outside. I was watching the deer, but it was close to a cemetery. There's three little girls buried that died from the Spanish influenza in 1918 in our house. So much stuff has happened there. And I thought of these balls in the forest. And so you'll get that story inside of this one. It's called Mystery of the Balls Finally Solved. This was submitted by somebody. Who was it? Oh, anonymous. They want to be left anonymous. If you guys have a really creepy true story that's happened to you, paranormal related, supernatural, cryptids, aliens, UFOs, any of that stuff, we have an email here on the channel. You can submit it, and with your permission, we'll put it in one of the upcoming editions of the True Haunting series. The email address is crazylake@mail.com. So here we go. Mystery of the Balls Finally Solved. Submitted anonymously. Hi, Crazy Lake. I've been watching your channel off and on for the past couple of years. There was one video in particular that drew me to your channel. It's an old one, and I don't even know what the title of it is, but it was a video about how you and your son were playing ball in your field, and the ball went into the tree line. You went to get it, and you found another ball. Thinking it was simply from a previous resident, you took the ball. Then the next day you went there was another ball. Every time you would take the balls you found, they would mysteriously be replaced until you finally stopped taking them. Then, sometime later, you found a gravesite where several children that you claim died during the Spanish flu of 1918 are buried. So, yeah, he starts his story with my story. That's a true story. We stopped taking the balls, and the balls that were there last are still there. It's really creepy. This video intrigued me because my family and I had the exact same thing going on at our place. We have just over 4 acres in western Pennsylvania, and our property on one side borders a much larger property, just over 100 acres, all wooded. We moved into our house and onto our land about 6 years ago, around the same time you and your family bought your place. I thought it was so coincidental that we had the same thing going on. By the way, this is actually the 7-year anniversary that we've been here, so this story's about a year old. 7 years, like as of like this week, the first week of September is when we purchased this property. Anyway, after you discovered your graves, we began looking for graves of our own. We came to know the owners of the property beside ours to a degree, and in time we felt comfortable with asking them if there were any unmarked graves or anything that they knew about. They said no, and then laughed at us, of course. They gave us permission to walk on their property if we ever wanted. We jumped at the opportunity that day after they left to venture around a bit on the part of their property that borders ours, the place where we keep finding the balls, but we found nothing representing graves, no mounds, no sinking areas, no nothing. However, just last week, we finally got our answer, we think. A man about my age, I'm in my early 40s, stopped by the house randomly. He introduced himself and told us that he'd spent 3 years living in our house when he was a teenager. His family moved a lot because his father was in sales at the regional level, and he said he'd followed his father's footsteps and was now in sales as well, and that is what had brought him through the area, a sales call. He asked if he could look around for a few minutes. His father had recently died, and he felt like touring around the place might help him with a little closure. Of course, we told this man yes. We did not feel threatened to any degree. He never entered any of the rooms in the house except the one that used to be his bedroom. Then, after a brief tour of the house, during which he mentioned how differently things had been when he'd lived there in the late 1980s, he went outside to walk around the yard. We walked with him, enjoying some meaningless small talk. When we got to the place where we'd found balls off and on throughout the years, he stopped and looked down and said, "Oh my God, I almost forgot about him." Who? I asked. Rex, he said. Who is Rex? I asked. He was an old stray mutt, the man said. Me and my friend, a kid named Roger, who lived down the road, found him, and neither of our parents would let us keep him. We tried hiding him in the garage, and my father, of all people, actually backed over him and killed him after we'd only had him for a few days. We buried him here. You're kidding, I said. Not at all, he said, but I never blamed my dad. He had no way of knowing he was there. This man had no idea that I hadn't been shocked about his father running over the dog. I was shocked because we now had the answer to our mystery. Kevin, there are so many things in this world that cannot be explained, but at least this one finally has. Take care and keep up the great work with your YouTube channel. To hell with the vertically challenged individuals who live under bridges. Anonymous. So it appears as if there's a dog, perhaps the ghost of a dog that wants to play fetch with balls. So, there was another, yeah, here we go. This is really neat. This was submitted by a gentleman named David Brewster. It's called The Light on the Hill. This is a short one. I'm not going to keep you too long here this evening, just a couple pages, but this is a creepy story. It kind of reminds me of the view we just had back here. And keep watching. You never know who or what may or may, and I believe, look, right there. What is that? Hi, Mr. Lake. I love your YouTube channel, though I'll admit I don't watch as often as I'd like. I work a full-time job and I watch our 3 kids in the evenings while my wife works hers, but I catch as many episodes as I can. So here's my crazy story for you. We live out in the country on a piece of property that looks so much like yours you'd think we were neighbors, but we live down in North Carolina. Anyway, when we moved here 3 years ago, while I was out walking around in the front field one evening, just as it was getting dark, I noticed a light up on top of the hill in the woods. Tree knock. I thought I heard footsteps too. Yeah. You see, there was movement right there. Something's creeping up on us. Continue to get my 6. So he's walking around, it's just getting dark. I noticed the light up on top of the hill in the woods. It was probably a quarter of a mile into the woods. I stopped and stared at it, waiting to see if it would move, thinking it might be someone with a flashlight because I knew there were no houses back there. It never moved, and I didn't put too much thought into it, and I went on. It was late fall or early winter, but the leaves were off the trees, and I just figured I was seeing a lot further than I was. I never thought anything else about that light on the hill and back in the woods until the following winter. Once again, the leaves were off the trees and I could see the light. This time, however, as I was watching it, it went out. It had just gotten dark, and that confused me because if it was someone out in the woods with a lantern or a flashlight, why would they be turning it off now that it was dark? It just had to be a light in the window of a house, but again, I knew there was no house up there, just woods. Anyway, I saw that light again just a couple of weeks ago after the last leaf pretty much had fallen from the trees. I've been here long enough to definitely know there's no houses back there. I did a little trespassing the next day because I wanted to know what in hell was going on with that light. I sneaked back into the woods. They're owned by a guy that doesn't even live around here because I asked around. And when I got to where I'd been seeing that light, I felt the hair on my arms stand up. There was an old stone foundation and an old stone fireplace and most of a chimney. I'd say the house that used to be there probably hadn't stood in the last century, as all that was left was this stone foundation. But apparently, that's where the light I'd been seeing was coming from. You can use my story any way you'd like, and you can even use my name. Just don't use the name of the town I live in case some a-hole neighbor wants to report me for trespassing. I know that you know how some of these rural bastards can be. Yes, I do. All the best. David Brewster, North Carolina. So there's a couple of creepy stories for you. A little bit of world culture, different culture, how they celebrate Christmas. 4 months out of the year over there in the Philippines. And how I'm kind of like what that guy is to Christmas. Always excited for the season to roll around so he can do his entertaining. I'm that same guy over here in America with Halloween, wanting to come out and entertain with my creepy stories. So I'm going to do some off and on here before October, but in October it's going to get real. So thanks for being here with me at Homesteading Off the Grid, the most popular homesteading channel on the internet that has nothing to do with homesteading. Again, you can get the books on Amazon or from Etsy, as well as our homemade Halloween decorations. Thank you for those of you who do your Amazon shopping through our Amazon affiliate link, and everything else. Everybody who supports us on Facebook on the Sick Twisted Humor page, we're up to 693,000 followers over there with that, and you guys here, we're well over 1 million, not even to mention our other pages and channels. So we very much appreciate you, and I hope you are as excited about October getting here as I am. See you next time.